Cool, Sudhu. So it's great to chat to you. I've recently moved to Dubai. One of the reasons, outside of joining Kiev, I believe is a visionary in the space, and we're building some great things, was also to position ourselves in what we believe to be the next center, not only of blockchain but also innovation and emerging technologies. We feel the Middle East, there's a lot of support and investment centered around the city of Dubai and also the broader region of UAE and the Middle East, investing and supporting the technology of tomorrow. We want to be part of that narrative. So it's very exciting that there's an exchange investing so much into the region. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how the launch has been over the last year. What are the difficulties that you faced in the region, and why there's so much focus in the UAE?
Yeah, no problem. So we launched late last year, and like any startup exchange, we have the same problem no matter where in the world you are, and that is getting your name out there, getting your brand, getting banking for your customers, getting regulatory licensing. All of these things have taken time and taken a lot longer than I think even the starting team at M2 would have anticipated at the start. But slowly but surely we're starting to tick each of those items off, and we're growing very, very nicely.
I think also the nice thing about having exchange positioned in the region is that there's a lot of emphasis on trying to put regulation in place that fosters growth and innovation, and sort of forces the regulators to look at a company like M2 and get things going really quickly. What has the process been like just to get everything up and running from a compliance and regulatory perspective?
Well, look, it's very different in the sense that we're very blessed in the UAE that there are a couple of regulators. There's the BARA in Dubai, there's ESCO, the national regulator, and there is FSRA in ADGM, who we're regulated by. And all three of them are very pro-innovation, pro-digital assets, getting the right procedures, protections in place to grow businesses. So unlike other countries like, I came out of the UK where it was really, really tough to get the FCA moving early on, so 7 years ago when I first started in crypto, in the UAE, there's three regulators in such a small country, right? And so that just shows you how pro-innovation they are. And working with them has been really good. It's of course they want to learn. We want to learn from them because crypto industry is moving from an unregulated space largely to a fully regulated space with no exceptions. And so you want to be on side with the regulator and not just teach them but learn from them as well. And so we're in a lucky part of the world.
It's definitely a two-way relationship, and I think there's a lot of emphasis on having regulation that promotes a fast-growing ecosystem in the Web3 space in Dubai, and that's why we're all there and so excited about the region. One thing that's great about an exchange, whenever I speak to anyone that's on that side of the curtain, is you sort of have a bit of a crystal ball as to what's going on in the market, because you can see how many users are coming on the platform. You can see all the different data, volume, etc. What are you seeing now that sort of points to some interesting metrics about where we are in the cycle?
I think some of the useful metrics are spot volumes collapsed generally. If you look at global exchanges, spot trading has come right off. Derivatives are still pretty decent, not as high as it used to be. But I think what we're showing is that we're definitely in a buy and hold type of environment, because just the velocity of asset and speculation has just come, it's a fraction of what it used to be. So I think we're reaching the sort of the first phases of the mature cycle where people now, hold assets for longer. They, like your pension fund. You look at crypto assets as if it's your stock portfolio or other asset class where you buy to hold, or you may put it into other products like Earn, which we can chat about later. So, I think there's still a little bit of meme coin frenzy that goes on, but in terms of dollar terms, I think it's still a pretty small percentage of the whole market. So I think people are in it more for the long term now. In the short term, people have sort of left the market, in my view, because we're just not getting the bounces or the 100x returns in 3 months that we could possibly see before. And the serious players are in and entering as we speak.
So in summary, fair to say that there's less DJ and scalp trading and more investors holding and believing in the technology and the assets that they're holding long term.
Yeah, I believe so. Especially in the region in the UAE. That's our take on it.
And as a new exchange, with obviously M2 having a lot of support as well, but it being a very competitive environment, how are you navigating your way through that? What things are you bringing into the platform, partnerships, etc., to make M2 stand out?
Sure. I think from an M2 perspective and any exchange, trust in your brand, trust in your people, trust in the platform is the key, right? So, we're regulated by the FSRA in the GM, which is a super high recognized regulator, right? Worldwide renowned, and we're happy to be working with them. But we still need to build our trust in the M2 brand itself, and that's been sort of the underlying, I guess, concrete that sits below everything we build. Now, if you kind of combine that, if you look back to 2022, a lot of businesses on the investor space, the earn space, went out of business, right? Celsius, Voyager, BlockFi, for example. So I think there's a huge gap there for crypto investors to earn yields. And so that's kind of from a product perspective, our thesis is about yield, and earn is that kind of flagship product. But alongside that, our other kind of overriding theme is that going forwards, we want to give what we call passive capital the same opportunities as active capital. Active capital are professional traders, HFTs, those kind of day jobs to trade, and they do really well. They got all kinds of access to yields and products that passive capital, i.e. people like you and I, whose day job isn't to watch a screen 24/7, have. For example, getting yield from basis is a different in spot and futures, being able to run algo market making strategies in a range bound for a coin that you believe you want to keep, but you want to add yield to it. So those are the sorts of products that we are starting to roll out. Our earn product is already there. It's like a fixed income savings account. Look at it, and we have some pretty market leading yields in it. So depending on the 10-year, it could be 6 to 8% of Bitcoin, for example. But we feel that it's those kinds of investment products that will kind of drive us to be the next generation investment platform.
And maybe, considering all these different products and elements of the exchange, maybe you can talk to what you anticipate or the vision of the next couple of years for M2.
We've become, if you look at a lot of exchanges, I think they'll be monitored or ranked by their daily volume, and I think our metrics are going to be assets under management, assets under custody, and I think that's going to be our North Star because, we see the investment platform as the overriding theme, and everything else is a service that we provide to make sure that you don't have to look anywhere else. Subject to kind of regulatory sign-off, we're bringing out a new derivatives platform, a new credit card platform, a lend platform, but all of those are really supplementary to the core, which is the earn and yield product. And
last question, Sudhu, maybe you can speak to the ecosystem in Dubai. Where do you feel that's going? Not only in Dubai, in the broader UAE region, Abu Dhabi as well, but maybe you could just talk to what the feeling is like of the energy from a Web3 perspective in the region.
So I think from a Web3 perspective, it's people came. Dubai did a great job, and UAE did a great job on marketing to Web3 innovators, and a lot of people came over the last sort of 2 years now. The UAE was blessed that Hong Kong made it very difficult for entrepreneurs to operate just because it was quarantined for 3 weeks every time they came back in. It was just impossible to do business, right? And Singapore has been a little bit slow in handing out licenses, so UAE became like a magnet for Web3 companies and entrepreneurs. But I don't think the investment thesis sat alongside that. So a lot of firms came, 200, 300 by all accounts, but there wasn't really local investors investing. They were still going for the same investors in Silicon Valley or Singapore or elsewhere. I think that's changing because a lot of those funds are now domestically based in the UAE. So you have access to capital. And equally on the sort of Web3 part, but on the institutional perspective, Abu Dhabi's got a lot of companies that are moving in there now. So from an institutional perspective, Abu Dhabi's got the assets. I think from a retail perspective, Dubai's got the assets. And so together, it's a good mix for the UAE.
Great, good to hear. I think with companies like Key Difference and M2, we can really push and create a big ecosystem around the Web3 space in the UAE region and make it a hotspot that everyone wants it to be. The new New York of the world, as they say.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Awesome, cool. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any other questions that you want me to ask?
I think I'm pretty excited to hear the long-term asset management model that you guys are bringing in. Because I think to a lot of people in the attraction to crypto space is just having those assets and the yield, which is far higher than the highest yield in Dubai, which is 5%.
And that's about to go down, by the way, right?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
traditional yields. Now, what's interesting, of course, like it's, I met some Web3 degens this last couple of days. Of course, they're like 8% on Bitcoin. Why? I can get 58% on Pendle. So I'm like, okay, this is not like for like.
Yeah.
We're maturing this investment class into a more traditional product where the comparison should be treasury yields or Fed funds or something rather than Pendle. But I get your point. We're never going to be attracted to a DeFi yield farmer.
Well, actually, to be fair, Pendle's highest yield was 22%. It's not very high compared to some of the other products out there.
Yeah, I'm using Pendle as an example, but there's a lot of,
I think the whole of the DeFi, like what Binance is doing, giving people access to the DeFi platforms, but through their centralized managed service, a lot of people are keen because it's a pain.
That's what we're doing.
It's a pain to use that.
We will be doing that next year. We're bringing a Web3 wallet, DeFi wallet inside the M2 system is what we're looking at.
That would bring a lot of money and attention.
Yeah. It also makes life, in a weird way, or not, it's very much easier for us because when we're catering to institutional customers, they want the steady yields, the highly regulated platform. The retail guys kind of want some of the earned products, but they also want access to 50,000 coins, which you can't do as a regulated entity. So by bringing this wallet in, we're saying, look, we'll bring it in, non-custodial, but within the KYC environment, we'll give you, and you can transfer from your SEX wallet to your DEX wallet, same logins, same process, and then go out to DeFi and fill your boost with meme coins that we can't list because we're of our regulatory.
So you do have the on-ramp and off-ramp fully working right now.
For AD, yeah.
And are you the only one who's fully functional?
Properly, yes.
Right. I think that's a big act.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that I know that I work with, they all are using OTC providers, which comes with a 1 to 2% fees.
Yeah, I think someone said if you on P2P dirhams into Tether on Binance, it's 5 to 7% sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. So for us, it's 0 to deposit fees and 50 dirhams to withdraw, unlimited.
Jeez.
Which is how it's trying to register.
Yeah.
I think these products do not exist. There's no real valid competition. There are international exchanges with licenses, but I don't think they're operating at this point in a back transaction. So I'm pretty keen to see that expand. But how long do you think that process looks like from your perspective, from a product growth and capturing the market?
From an AD, from a domestic perspective?
Just the M2 within the UAE.
Can I ask you a favour? Sorry, won't you just go and sit there? Because it would be nice to have this on camera.
Sure.
All together. And some chat.
So we've actually haven't.
Let's just wait one second. Okay.
So we actually haven't made a concerted push around AD except for like our current user base. We really haven't done a big marketing push. That's about to change pretty soon. So once that happens, you can very cheaply on-ramp AED onto the platform. You can go on and buy, Bitcoin and ETH. Right now, we're bringing out a bunch of other assets against AED pairs. So you don't even have the slippage there outside of the bid offer, which is on an order book. You can even put limit orders in, put your own order and leave the level that you want. You're not forced into any market orders or RFQ type system. It's visible, on an order book, and take it away. So
you're going to kill the OTC market.
I mean, the OTC market is huge, huge in the UAE, and we want to capture a chunk of it. Sure,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you mentioned there's a great interest in the own product, and is your existing license cover some of that, or do you still have regulatory work before you could release all?
So we have 2 licenses. One's in AGM, the other one's out of the Bahamas. The earned product is outside. It's run out of the Bahamas license because the FSRA in Egypt doesn't have licensing around earn. But they're very, very keen to work with us and other exchanges to bring all the sort of global products licensing around it into the AGM, so that ourselves and other exchanges can license the products domestically as well.
Do you see any other regions in the Middle East who has the closest ability to work from a government standpoint to provide local licenses and fiat ramps like Bahrain and others?
No, I mean, Bahrain's probably the nearest, but no, in the sense that, Bahrain's a Bahrain license, right? And the Bahraini population is tiny. So it's a great license. The advantage of Bahrain is that if you get regulated as exchange, the regulator also regulates the banks. So there's no conflict between, it's not like, oh, here you go via an FSRA, but you need to go to the central bank. There, central bank is looking after everyone. So, so that's really the advantage. The negative is that's a very, very small country. So, whereas obviously Saudi Arabia seems far, far away from accepting crypto. The new governor, I think, is also relatively skeptical, as I understand it. Which kind of leaves the UAE, Qatar small, large assets, small people, which leaves the UAE as the champion, I believe.
I think the most markets I keep hearing in the Middle East is Egypt, and more than any other actual Middle East out there in terms of population.
Yeah, look, Egypt's got the people, right? It's got the population, it's got the currency, which keeps dropping. I mean, all the use cases for crypto doesn't need to be marketed, right? So.
Is there a view to sort of expand down into Africa for M2?
It is very much so. We're looking at the best ways of doing this. I think remittance is one particular route because it gets us India, Africa. We are looking, ahead of that. I think our next focus is really India, Europe, and South America.
Okay.
But
Africa,
I believe. I think so. I mean, Africa is. I think if you can nail remittance, then you've got a real. Remittance and Web3 wallets, you hit Africa, because otherwise, Africa is basically Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Egypt when it starts becoming more regulatory kosher. Yeah.
And places like Egypt, so you really have to have a currency on ramp off, right?
Yes.
Small amounts of currency for each of these, but very, very important because we don't really want to go into the P2P route because it creates licensing issues and compliance issues as well. Binance kind of does that reasonably well, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So what would you define as the M2's vision? Because when M2 started, my understanding of the vision was for the Middle East or for UAE, really just rooted in UAE.
Yeah.
But now you're mentioning all these different regions, and then you're becoming like any other exchange. So what's the vision and what's the differentiation?
See, from an exchange perspective, you bring that up, but really it's an earned product, and the different countries are on ramps and off ramps to that earned kind of investment platform. So that's why it isn't just about the UAE. UAE is a home. There's much higher institutional demand in the UAE, I would say, than family offices and institutions as opposed to necessarily other countries. I think the US is pretty high. We can't touch the US. So we'll build around that and become well known as a brand, as a safe and trusted platform.
Sounds good.
Good.
Yeah, it's awesome to connect.
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers,
thanks. Thank you for your time.